awesome. You guys know the power of fear, and you know you need to overcome it. You know, we've introduced the fear of poverty. We introduced the implications it has in so many people's lives, which is a shame. It's a real shame. What we're going to look at now are the 6 symptoms of poverty, how you can master these, overcome them, and have massive success in your life towards riches by avoiding these pitfalls, avoiding these humps in the road, and getting to the exact success level that you want to succeed and reach that overarching long-term goal. Sound cool? Sound awesome? Let's go over to the computer. Let's make it happen. 6 symptoms of the fear of poverty, which is a shame, man. Poverty fear crushes so many people, and it's what holds back a lot of people from just starting to invest in themselves, in markets, in assets. And this is what's going to fundamentally help you become a better investor, but also just become a better fulfiller at getting to that goal you have, to getting that one desire that's become a burning passion for you. Number 1, this is just stupid. It's indifferent. If you're indifferent about something, I mean, oh my gosh, I'll read what Hill has to say and then we'll talk more about it. Commonly expressed through the lack of ambition, willingness to tolerate poverty, acceptance of whatever compensation life may offer without protest, mental and physical laziness, lack of initiative, imagination, enthusiasm, and self-control, indecision, and indifference will fundamentally corrupt you, because it's this idea that you take what's given rather than being on a path to your overarching long-term goals. So you have no care for goals. And this is why earlier in this series we talked, and so much in the members area, we talk about this idea of proactive versus reactive, right? And when you're reactive, you're indifferent. You take what life throws at you and you just have to suck up what comes your way. So this is this idea that you're on defense all the time. You're waking up late. Maybe you need to be at work at 9, and so you stay up all night and you wake up at like 8 and you're freaking out and you're rushing through your morning, and maybe it's earlier, maybe it's not, but the idea is that you just don't have master control over your time. And so because of that, maybe you have to skip your meditation. Maybe you have to rush through your goals and you can't emotionalize your overarching long-term goal statement through the secret formula. This reactive lifestyle is where you're checking your email the instant you wake up. You're checking your text messages. And please, you know, I'm not saying don't check all my emails, but for your fundamental well-being, it's this idea that what really matters in your life, you know? And you really want to be reactive to people, and you can definitely be reactive to selective people. Like, I don't get notifications when people text me, and I check my text once or twice a day. But if someone calls me, and it's a family member, you know, I might pause from work, I pause from a video and say, hey, I'll be reactive to certain people because they matter, right? And it's this difference of proactive versus reactive. So with proactive, you are on a mission every single day. Remember what we talk about in the daily journal. We have our reflection side over here, and over here we plan out the day with a disciplined schedule. You know, this is 4 o'clock in the morning, this is noon, and this is 8 o'clock at night, or whatever your sleep schedule is, doesn't matter. And you guys have seen the daily journal, and then you have like your overarching goals for the day, overarching daily goals. And this is, you know, this is the principle of the daily journal, right? And you'll set up, you know, from 4 to 5, I'm gonna maybe work out, right? Wow, that was really bad. And then you set aside, maybe you know that it takes you half an hour to brush your teeth, floss, shower, stuff like that. So you say, I'm gonna do that. And then you say, I'm gonna eat breakfast, you know, and listen to podcasts or read a book, and set aside time. You're being proactive. You're scheduling your day. And now, instead of just like waking up, not on a schedule, not in a system, not on the path to success, you follow the reactive way. The reactive way doesn't have this. The reactive way doesn't have a schedule. All they do are takes life challenges day at a time, one day at a time. This is the paycheck to paycheck mentality. This is the, oh, I'm so glad to get home from work or from school or whatever because it was such a tough day mentality, versus, yes, I'm off. I can go and I can do what I have planned for 6 o'clock today. I can go and I can do what I have planned for 7 o'clock. And it's not just once or twice when you have an event, it's every single day. That's the difference between a vast majority of people. 98% of people are reactive. Why are they reactive? They don't have a reason to be proactive. And it's a shame. It's a big shame. They just go across taking what life hands to them. They're indifferent. And they don't have, you know, that 2% of people that have goals. They don't have goals. They don't follow the secret formula. And if you don't follow the secret formula, it's like trying to race. And one person that's proactive is racing in like a Rolls Royce, and one person that's reactive is racing in a tricycle. It's such a massive difference. This one change alone will fundamentally shift how you manage time and how you look at every single thing you do, because you foundationally plan it into your day. And you stick to this plan. Once you make this plan is set in stone the night before. You don't change it. Excuse me, except for very rare circumstances, or if like crazy stuff comes up, or maybe you set aside an hour or two for flexibility, maybe you set aside an hour or two for family, maybe you set aside an hour or two for fun, and that's totally okay. Just understand those time periods, and don't make those time periods the entire freaking day, because that's what most people do, is they just have no plan. They have no goal, right? And that's why you want to be over here on the proactive side, where you're on a mission and you make time to get stuff done. You say, look, I got an open slot right here for half an hour. I'm gonna spend that time starting my first book. That's how you write a book, right? It's just that little bit of time every day. For me, it was like 2 hours in the morning throughout school, and then usually during cross-country season it was 2 hours at night, and then after cross-country season for that last month and a half it was about 4, 5, 6 hours at night, as much as I could get squeezed in before like 8, because then I would go to bed and I'd wake up. So if I get home at 3, it's like probably about 4 hours, 5 hours, and then I would do that every day for the week, and then on the weekends it would just be freaking 15, 16 hour grinds going hard. Is that a proactive thing to do, or is that a reactive thing to do? Is writing, setting aside time blocks to work towards your biggest goal, is that proactive or reactive? That's proactive, right? You're taking control of your life. You're saying, look, I'm not going to check my text messages. I'm not going to take phone calls. I'm not going to go to parties, right? Or whatever. You're not going to react to the world around you, but instead you're going to be proactive and take control over every aspect that you can of your life, and use that form of mastery to have a singular focus, like we've talked about so many times before, on, you guessed it, the one thing. One thing that would, by completing this, make every other aspect of your day and your life and your goal plan much, 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 much easier and more efficient, and get rid of all the other crap that you think you need to do if you could just complete this one thing. For so long, for me, that one thing was learning about stocks. That one thing, before learning about stocks, was working out. I had to get my body right. And after that, after I'd mastered that, I moved on to stocks. After I'd mastered stock, fundamentally, I moved on to technical analysis. After I'd mastered technical analysis, I moved on to blockchain tech. After I've mastered blockchain tech, I moved on to corporate like development and starting, companies. And after I mastered, the foundational principles of that, I moved on to tax law and accounting. After I mastered that, I moved on to educating others about personal finance and investing. After I mastered that, I was proactive, and I kept growing. And then I did the classes and took those and applied them and wrote the book. But the thing is, after you master one thing, you can keep using it, right? So for me, I mastered working out. I keep working out throughout the entire time period. I mastered investing. I keep making long-term and swing trade investments throughout that entire time period, on top of 9 to noon trading based solely on technical analysis. After I have mastered that, I keep trading 9 to noon while focusing on other aspects of my life. Right now, I'm trading 9 to noon every day, and I'm recording courses like this, right? I'm learning more about online marketing. I'm mastering online marketing. And at the same time, I'm finding the time to keep those investments going, because that's what my passion is right now, and will likely be for decades to come. That's what I love to do. I found it. And once you find it, you have this feeling in your mind, and oh my God, it's the best feeling of your life. It was about it was probably like 6 months into investing, and like 4 months into trading 9 to noon, after I started swing trading, and it was towards like the end of summer. And I was looking at my computer and just had this amazing trade. It was the stock that went up like 138%, something like that. It was like definitely the 122%. It was 122, 138, something like that. And I look at the computer and I say, dude, you know what? I could seriously do this like every day for the rest of my life, and I'd be so happy. The only way that you get to that state is by being proactive. Never, very, 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 very small percentage of the time will you get there by being reactive, because a vast majority of people, if you're working like for someone else, it's very unlikely that that's your true passion. And if it is, that's awesome. But make sure that if it is, you understand that you want to have that one moment, that one click. For me, it just happened where I sat back and I said, I could seriously do this every day for the rest of my life. And if that happens to you, that's when you know you found it. I had to go through 8, 10, 12 different career options. I was going to be a professional gamer, a professional music maker. I was going to be a photographer, which I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I'm doing it right now. So, I was going to start, selling Amazon, sell stuff on Amazon, made the Ethernet cable business, tried all these different things, eBay, drop shipping. I wasn't old enough to do it, take credit cards with Shopify, and now everything's moved on to ClickFunnels, and it's just amazing. More info on that in the resources section of this training area, and just some of those general business education courses like the PWA program. That's a very powerful resource to start that online business. Very cool stuff. Highly recommend it. I'll put the one thing, and I'll put the PWA program below, because those are really powerful. So with that said, be proactive, take life by the reins, control it and steer it to go exactly where you want to go and get to that overarching long-term goal. Okay? Sound awesome? Sweet. So let's move on to number 2, indecision. The habit of permitting others to do one's thinking. Staying on the fence. Look, guys, I think a good little phrase for this is the idea that there's no way to be almost pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And it's the same thing with investments. You're either in it or you're not. You either buy the stock or you don't. You're all in or you're out. In a diversified portfolio, obviously you can minimize risk, but you've got to make a decision. You're either in it or you're not. Right now, personally, I'm being indecisive on NEO stock because China's pretty sketchy, but NEO's kind of cool, but also their currency sucks, and I think the economy might collapse. Indecision is a habit you have to overcome, but sometimes it comes down to information. I'd say 2% of the time, it comes down to more information needed. And 98% of the time, it comes down to an indecisive personality. Your goal is to accept this and just work through it and absolutely abolish this by becoming more confident in your decision-making ability and sticking with your decisions. The best way that you can do this, and this is something I've done so many times, and it started in school, and then I'll show you how I expanded from school. So we were taking, multiple choice tests, right? And you've got A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. You get the point. And you pick an answer for the question, and you just, you circle a bubble. You guys have taken tests, you know this stuff. So there's this concept for standardized testing that if you fill in a bubble after you, read the question and read all the answers, and you erase it, and you erase your answer, and you change your answer, a vast majority of those changes are actually wrong because your gut was right, but you talked yourself out of the right answer and went to the wrong answer. Now, if any of you guys have been high performers in school on tests, you probably have heard of this principle before, and it's a very powerful concept that illustrates the destructive ability and capacity of indecision, because that first decision that you make on a whim at a snap's notice is actually the most powerful thing you have, because your gut really is your subconscious. I want you guys to get this, right? Your gut is your subconscious. Your subconscious connects to your infinite intelligence, which is the infinite intelligence. Therefore, your gut connects to the infinite intelligence, and you want to trust the infinite intelligence. So a vast majority of the time, you want to stick with that first gut answer. This is the same principle that applies in financial markets. You guys have seen that example with NVIDIA a long time ago, right? They were going up and up and up and up. They went to 75 to 110, and then they went down and down and down and down, and they went to 90, 95 bucks. And then it was a downward wedge setup, and I actually think this was an example in 9 to noon. It was a little bit, more bouncy than that, but basically downward wedge setup. And my gut was to get in it. So my gut, I hey, this is a cool company. I got in it. And I was right here the day they reported earnings. And you guys have heard this, I know, but it's important, okay? I was getting out of my car to go to school, and I went to school. But I realized, whoa, I forgot my phone. So I ran back to the car, turned around, jolted back, and said, hey, I need my phone, I need my phone, I need my phone. And that was the day that everything I knew about indecision came to fruition. Because here's what happened. NVIDIA reported earnings that night. And I'd bought them a month, 2 months before. I'd say about a month before. And I was just my initial decision was, these guys are a good company. They're selling a lot of stuff because at the time blockchain was just coming up, and there were a lot of people buying for mining, and there's still a lot of people buying for mining. And they're a big gaming industry. Gaming industry, PC industry was expanding at the time. It was 2016, 2017. It was a long time ago. So they report earnings here, and I read this article, which was so stupid, and it said that downward wedges meant that the stock was going to go down, when obviously, if you guys have read, I think it's chapter 28 is triangles and wedges. Downward wedges mean that the stock's going to freaking crush it in a vast majority of situations. And so what happened is I was in this thing at $100, and it was down. It was about $100. It was at $102, so it went up just a little bit for earnings. It's coming up right here, trying to break out of that wedge. This catalyst, this news report, they were going to report earnings after hours, so that would be a massive shift in investor sentiment, and it would either go up a bunch or it would go down. All these articles said it was going to go down, and this was kind of one of my first investments, so I didn't realize that usually the media is wrong. Usually the majority of people are wrong, especially with news. So because I didn't know that, I I saw all these articles. I was freaking out. I was so fearful, which is a big mistake. We just talked about the importance of a level head, getting rid of those emotions, stopping fear. So this is obviously was not an optimal situation. I really, really wish I left my phone in the car that day. But I'm glad I didn't, because if I didn't run back to grab that phone, I wouldn't have learned this lesson. And if I didn't learn this lesson, I couldn't share it with you. And if I couldn't share it with you, then you might make an even bigger mistake. This mistake, it cost me like what, $200, $300, and it'll pay dividends to you for the rest of your life. And so I hope you see the value in this, and I hope that you really enjoy this. And it was 200 points in the short term, but like honestly, this stock like doubled. So it was honestly like, you know, $1,000, $2,000. It was a long time ago, but that would have been pretty freaking sweet. It was a good position. I was totally overweight because I had horrible diversification. But hey, you know, you learn as you go and you keep succeeding. And that's what I did here. So, you know, I'm freaking out. I'm at lunch and I'm like, all right, you know what? Everyone says it's gonna go down. This downward wedge says it's gonna go down. I'm going to second guess myself. Picked up the phone, called the broker, said, hey, sell NVIDIA, limit 103.24. They say, okay, they sell it. I made 1.8% on that trade, which is an annualized gain of like 9% given the holding period. But basically I get home after school and the stock reports earnings and they instantly go to like $120. And over the course of the next like year, they're $350. I'm pretty sure that's yeah. And it was $300. They're like $350, $300. I mean, they doubled, you know? They crushed it. And I sold it right at this pivot point, right at this downward wedge, which is a clear indicator of it going up. Why did that happen? I was indecisive. I was on the fence with my investment. Even though I made an initial decision, I went back and I changed it. And that was stupid, but I didn't know this principle. Now I know this principle. So please, 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 I've got like 8 stocks that I just put calls on. I'm experimenting with calls, some of the first big longer term 6-month calls I've done because I'm getting, you know, much better technical analysis. Please, please master technical analysis and just fundamental stock trading before you go into options. Options are much riskier. And I talk about it more over on the podcast, the Stock Market Secrets podcast. Recommend for sure you guys listen to that because that'll really help you become a better investor and make more money. But basically with call options, you just gotta be careful because you don't want to lose all your money, which has happened. I've had a couple. I know I did one for the GE earnings, and the earnings were just not as big as I thought they'd be. Lost 100% of that position. You got to understand the risk versus the reward and how important it is to not lose money. So I'm making some of these initial option calls, and you know, a lot of them usually, and I don't know if this is me or if it's the market, but it's very difficult to time exact tops and exact bottoms. So, and I'm working on my timing here, but usually with swing trades, I'll get in and it'll go down like 10%. Because it's really, really tough. You can get very close to the bottom. And I got like GE at like $7, I think, and then they went to like 12. So that was really good, like as a fundamental stock trade. Crushed that one, but that was lucky, right? And it's all about timing. But a lot of it's just you got to be there when it happened. And so I'm trading OXY, right? OXY, the options I have on it are up like 112%. Yeah, that sounds about right. Based on like a $4 rise from base level at like $45, $46, $47 to about $54. But then it went back down this day, the last couple weeks, to like $45 again. So it loses all that value, right? So you gotta understand, like I'm holding that for the next 4 or 5 months. I'm gonna leave it, right? Not touching that, not selling it, because I'm sticking with my initial decision. And I looked at the technicals when I made the trade, and I know that there's a high probability it's going to about $58, $60. Triple my money is the goal on that. The way you do that is simply by holding true to your initial principles and your initial decisions, and having conviction, faith, and belief in yourself by developing your confidence to a surreal level of growth that no one else can match to create the biggest level of success and development in any kind of investment you make, either in a market, in an asset, or in yourself. Worst thing you can do is buy a book and return it because you don't think you were worthy of it, or you don't think it had an impact on you. Because like you talked about earlier with that mental manifestation, it's this idea that you have to convince yourself that you're worth it and that you're valuable and that you deserve. And if you can do that, you can fundamentally shift every aspect of what you're doing, because all of a sudden you have total belief and conviction in everything you do. And that is power. That is growth. That is change. Very powerful concept, very powerful growth. Please take this and apply it. And even if you think the whole world's gonna end, just like stick with your original decision. If you're working on tests, the only reason really to change an answer is if you have new information. Okay? For a vast majority of cases, you read a question and you know everything you're going to know about it the instant you read it, so you don't get new information. But in the rare circumstance that like maybe one of the other questions on the test gives you new information, then you can go back and apply that new information. That would be the only time to change stuff. So if you apply that mentality into the marketplace, especially with investments, like say I was trading, obviously Enron, they went bankrupt a long time ago. But if I was trading Enron, right, and I had this initial decision that I was going to make an investment in them, and I made the investment. The only way I'd want to change that investment is if I got a bunch of new information. So with Nvidia, right, this trade had no new information. There was media, there was news. That doesn't count. That's not information. That's just BS floating around in the marketplace. People trying to make money by publishing content. That's just how it works. That's how these news companies pay their publishers, which is totally cool. Like, that's a business in and of itself. But you got to understand, there's a difference between Nvidia saying we're releasing new things or we're not releasing new things because we don't have any money, versus reporters saying Nvidia doesn't make any money because they make billions of dollars, right? So there's this difference. There was no new information here, so there was no reason to change my initial decision. When you look at investments with Enron, right? Enron, if you guys don't know, and I talk about them on the podcast, but the thing with Enron was that they were like up and up and up and up and up and up, and everyone was pumping them. And then they went bankrupt in like a month because like they had an accounting scandal, and they basically lied that they were making money, and they never actually made money, which kind of sucks. So that's why you diversify, right? I talk about that in chapter 35. The only reason that I would change my initial investment here, besides a stop loss, like you definitely want to have a stop loss. Like, please have a stop loss. Chapter 17, read chapter 17. But like if I was above that stop loss, right? Well, the only reason I would change my position here is if I learned that new information came out that showed conclusively that, hey, Enron is like scamming everybody on Wall Street, and you should like look at their financials because they're not real. Like, if that new information enters the marketplace, then you can change your decision. Then you can reconsider and slowly adjust and adapt. But if new information doesn't come out, you gotta stick to your decision. You gotta stick to your wits and let your trades work out. Let your investments work out. Let your plans work out. Especially when I was writing the book. Like, dude, that last month of writing was so difficult. I really had to push through limits and boundaries to get that done, and then take finals. And like, dude, when school ended, I had like 2 or 3 weeks of winter break, and it was like 15 hours a day every day. And then I was skiing, and then it was amazing. It was so much fun, but oh my gosh, it was a lot of work. But I didn't change my decision to write that book or finish it by that deadline because there was no new information. The information I fed myself was, I will finish by this date. I followed the secret formula to create that medium-term goal, and then I freaking did it until it was done. That's the power of a definite decision. That's why leaders don't change their answers. And that's why you're gonna have massive levels of success in every aspect of your life. If you apply this single aspect, this single characteristic, and become a decisive person with everything that you can do, so that you own it when you're wrong and you reap the rewards when you're right. Sound awesome? Sound amazing? I hope I'm over delivering for you guys. We're gonna go on now to number 3. Doubt. Doubt. Please. Doubt. Okay. Generally expressed through alibis and excuses designed to cover up, explain away, or apologize for one's failures. Sometimes expressed in the form of envy of those who are successful, or by criticizing them. This is huge. Don't make BS excuses. Don't explain failures. Explain away failure. Don't express envy. Don't criticize the successful people. Okay, well, what do you do? Well, let me tell you what you do. Excuses. What's the solution to excuses? Well, I'll tell you what. You own it. I remember back in middle school, right? We were outside playing this game where we would like all bounce the ball, and everyone was standing. It was like you had to bounce the ball, and it would bounce on the ground, and then you'd bounce it over to someone else, and then they would bounce it on the ground. If it bounced, in your area like more than once, you would get kicked out and you would lose, right? Very basic, kid game. I was bouncing this ball, and it was kind of slippery because it was wet outside, and it had got water on it, right? And so it comes in my hand, and I'm trying to like bounce it down, spike it so that it goes in this guy's square, and then it bounces away, and then he gets out. And instead of that happening, I get the ball in my hand and it just like slips on the way down and whacks this guy straight in the face and breaks his glasses. It was a pretty sad event, but looking back at it, we both kind of laugh at it because it was kind of funny because I slammed him in the face with a ball. But anyway, so I break his glasses, right? And so we go inside and we meet like with a teacher, and he's like, whoa, you broke his glasses. And I'm like, yeah, dude, his glasses broke, man. And he's like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, whoa. Now, what do? You don't make excuses. You don't say, oh, it was somebody else's fault. The ball was slippery. The ground was slippery. I couldn't see it. I didn't know he had glasses on. No, BS. I say, yeah, dude, sorry. My bad. My fault. Now, he had insurance, which was good because they just like got him new glasses because of his insurance. But like, I didn't know that. so it was like I was ready to pony up, whatever it took to make right this wrong. You can't make excuses. You've got to own your action. That's going to increase your character. It's going to increase your reputation, and it's going to increase your future reliability in the marketplace. Reliability. So that everyone wants to work with you, and you're the number one source of trusted knowledge and information in the marketplace, or whatever it is, whatever your long-term goal is. You're the number one person to be there because you own your mistakes and you're honest about it, even in the face of consequences. Number 2, explain away failures. BS, dude. You've got to own it. You guys saw that video on YouTube about like how I lost 100 grand, and if you didn't, like, I'll have it below. But like, basically that entire video, all I do is like explain exactly what happened. Like, this is what I freaking did to mess up. This is what you guys should probably not do. And then if you don't do it, then you'll probably do really well because you won't mess up. And like, I own it, dude. I don't like say it was other people's fault or explain it away. I say this is what I did wrong. All right, so for this example, losing 100 grand, I connected with these very untrustworthy global distributors. All right, and then I exchanged with them with no safety net. It was stupid, so stupid, no safety net. And then what? We follow up with them, and then I kept giving them money. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. Kept going in more, right? It's this idea of the sunk cost fallacy, that you've already lost so much, you should just finish it, right? And it's like total freaking BS. Cost me a ton of money. Great principles and great lessons to learn, but like, I don't know, man. I guess it was a good education, but I wish it didn't freaking happen. It would have saved me about $100,000. But like, man, I'm not gonna say it was their fault though. I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna say this is what I did wrong. This is what I learned from it. This is what you should take away from it too. This is my fault. You can't explain it away. You can't say, oh, the weather was bad and the government did this and cryptocurrencies are scams. Like, no, my fault. I'm not explaining it away. I'm analyzing what I did wrong. And then you take this and it leads to future improvement and growth. Because this situation led me, on the positive side, understand global capital illiquidity. And if I didn't have this experience, illiquidity. If I didn't have this experience, like, there's not a chance I would have understood the insane pressures felt by international investors trying to create or get a chunk of the American economy and get their butts some assets that are going to grow tremendous levels of wealth higher than most economies. Like, the US economy is a powerhouse American system, and it's so insane to see that there's so many other companies that just are countries don't have access to the same financial institutions that we are very lucky to have. And it sucks because our growth should be shared. Our growth should be available to international investors, not just through like 2% treasury bonds or whatever the interest rates are when you're watching. And it's so tough for the individual investors specifically and exclusively to get access to American assets, American index, American ETFs, American 9 to noon stocks, right? 9 to noon trading. Very, very difficult to do on international exchanges. I've looked at these stocks and they just don't move the same way as 9 to noon gainers. And it sucks, and it sucks, and it sucks. If you guys want to learn more about this, I talk about it in chapter 36 and the chapter on brokers, which I think is chapter 37. And the principle, and I talk about it so much more in the podcast too. I think I just recorded a podcast episode about it. And it just sucks for so many people. They're totally blocked off. They're fundamentally blocked from accessing these long-term assets to create real savings and retirements through personal finance and investing. That's why I do so much work with decentralized asset management. It's all about finding this success and finding this growth. And this was a very crucial moment in sculpting my overarching long-term vision for my decade goal. So please, please, please take the positive out of this. Take the positive out of whatever you can. Use that as fuel for growth. Use it to help everyone and expand every aspect possible to have the maximum impact and fundamentally change your viewpoints and perspectives based on you owning it rather than excuses or explaining away failure. Sound good? Sound awesome? Last part here is to not criticize successful people. Basically, negativity is bad, right? Negativity is bad. If you criticize successful people that have money, you're going to associate criticism with money. You're going to associate negative emotions with money. If you associate negative emotions with money, you're going to lose all your money because you don't want to be mean and bad and negative. That's a bad thing to do. This is something that's dealt with a lot more in the Millionaire Mind. I know a lot of you guys have gotten it, so just make sure, Millionaire Mind. This book will fundamentally shift your ability to create real savings and retirements. Highly, highly recommend it. It'll change your life, change my life. Millionaire Mind, huge, huge, huge. Talks about this principle and talks about so many more principles, but the biggest thing behind it, and I'll leave that book review below so you guys can grab your copy, is that if you criticize successful people, you're crippling your ability to become successful because you don't want to be someone you criticize, right? And so you got to be happy for them and enjoy that positivity. And when you do that, positivity goes to increased vibrations, goes to power thought, power subconscious, goes to plans to be a successful person, right? This is where you want to get. So you have to celebrate people that get there and then mimic them and model them, right? Do what rich people are doing. Don't get mad at them. Don't say they're stupid and doing stuff wrong and criticize them. Why would you do that? Oh, I don't want money. Money doesn't matter. Money, blah, blah, blah. These are all limiting beliefs. All fundamental mindset issues. And this is exactly what the Millionaire Mind talks about. It gets over all these problems and these negative associations people have with money so that you can go out there and achieve your overarching long-term goal, fulfill your secret formula to get the exact amount of money you desire from the marketplace. All right? Sound cool? Makes sense? Awesome. We're gonna move on to number 4, worry. Now, worry, pretty huge, okay? Usually expressed by finding fault with others, a tendency to spend beyond one's income, neglect of personal appearance, scowling and frowning, intemperance in the use of alcoholic drinks, sometimes through the use of narcotics, nervousness, lack of poise, self-confidence, and consciousness, and lack of self-reliance. Guys, this is a bad, bad place to be. You don't want to worry. You want to increase positive vibes, right? You want to smile. You want to be happy. You got to ignore the stuff that brings you down and push it out of your life, like you talked about earlier. Envision those negative thoughts and just whisk them away. Get them out at any circumstance, in any way possible, to get rid of worry and get rid of negativity. A great way to do this, especially if you're working like a job or something, and this is something I wish I figured out so long ago when I was at Subway, is maybe say you're in your little desk, or maybe this is like a workstation, I don't know, whatever it is that you do, right? Every 1 hour, you set a timer, it goes off. Every 1 hour, you take like 1 minute, you just think about 2 people in your life. Any 2 people. It could be the person across the hall, person next to you. It could be your mom. It could be your cousin. It could be Donald Trump. Anybody. Pick anybody in the world. Any 2 people. Just close your eyes and imagine them happy. Imagine them smiling. Imagine them laughing. Imagine them having a great time. I heard about this tactic in Tools of Titans. And this tactic, like, seriously, fundamentally made me so much happier. And Tools of Titans. This book is insane. There is so much stuff in here to fundamentally increase your personal success. This book seriously is amazing. You guys are gonna see the book review below this. This is one of those book reviews that, like, holy crap, you gotta watch. It's insane. This book is so amazing. It's changed my life since I read it, and it's continued to change my life because there's so much applicable stuff in it. And I'm continuing to do what it says years, or months and months and months, and it'll still be years after I read it. There's just so much in here that can fundamentally shift you from broke, really rich, tools of billionaire, icons, world-class performers, all stems from these Tools of Titans. And this is where this idea comes from. So that's, yeah, there's so many more like it that are just amazing. So you spend an hour thinking about how all these people are going to be positive and the amazing positive emotions they're going to have. And what's that do? What does thinking of happy people do to you? It makes you happy in return. It makes you glad for them. It makes you in that same mindset that they're in. So they're having happiness and you're making them happy. It makes you happy, right? In return, you're gonna have that. And just try this out. I know it sounds sort of weird. I thought it was weird when I first read it, but just like pause this video and think of 2 people for the next 1 minute and think of them being happy and smiling and laughing, and do that for like 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, however many hours you work. I don't know, 16 hours every hour, and it'll fundamentally change your personality. It'll make you so much happier, easier to connect with others in the workplace, and it'll totally abolish that worry, that fear, that dreadliness, that terrible, whatever those negative emotions are. Come back and focus and ask yourself, what are the happy people in your life looking like right now, and turn yourself into one of those happy people. Okay? Sound cool? Little smiley face, yeah? Awesome! All right, we've got 2 more. Let's get it going. Bam, bam, bam. Number 5, overcaution. This is like being the person that puts 100% of their wealth in like US Treasury bonds. Like, this is just bad. And please read the first 3 chapters of the book if you don't understand what I just said, because 90% of people on this, I don't know, like 50-60% of Americans probably don't understand that statement. And that's freaking berserk. It's insane. So please, 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 that you need to read 9 to Noon. Oh my gosh, it'll change your life. So overcaution. And get the audiobook too if you're having trouble reading it. Just listen along. I'm telling you, guys, that book changed your life. The habit of looking for the negative side of every circumstance, thinking and talking of possible failure instead of all the roads to disaster, but never searching for the plans to avoid failure, waiting for the right time to begin putting ideas and plans into action, waiting and waiting until waiting becomes a permanent habit, remembering those who have failed and forgetting those who have succeeded, seeing the hole in the donut but overlooking the donut. That is just a negative mindset to be in. This idea that you focus more on this little part that's missing than all of the amazing, delicious donutness that's outside of it. And that looks kind of like a cinnamon bun, I guess. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, just pretend it's a donut. Okay, donut, right? You want to focus on what's there. You want to focus on the growth. You want to focus on the potential. You don't want to focus on what's missing. No, right? No. Same thing, this idea that you're waiting for the right time. Guys, it's never the right time. The stock market's crashing. The stock market's too high. The world's ending. The housing market's gonna explode. It's never the right time. Just do it. You guys know this. You guys, like, just do it. I don't know, buy Nike stock. Who knows? You know, NKE, they've been doing pretty freaking well. You know why? Because they just do it. And also because they have a lot of people that work in China. Oh man. But guys, look, there's never a right time to start. I know some of the biggest like corporate giants on this planet, like GE, started during a recession. They're still huge. Why are they huge? Because they understood the ability to think and grow rich, and they applied that to their business model, and they applied that to their team, and they applied that to their success formula for long-term goals, and they created their secret formula, and they fulfilled their secret formula by creating systems and practices in their business. That's all they did. Simple stuff. You think, use your subconscious to create plans, and grow rich. That's the system. That's the power. That's pretty freaking cool. Didn't matter what economy they were in because they made their own economy. So please, get out there. No matter what you do, doesn't matter. You can increase your value, you can increase your salary, you can increase your pay. Make your own economy. This is actually a really powerful concept that's discussed in much more depth in Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule. And I highly recommend you guys grab yourself a copy of this book, because it is insane. The basis for success and the foundational principle for achieving 1000% better results in everything you do. Family, business, growth, personal health. I'll leave the book review below. Highly recommend. Very great stuff. These are just ways to fundamentally shift the way that you look at the economy and instead master your own life so you're not relying on other people by doing massive impact actions and activities with your team in the marketplace. That sound cool? That makes sense? All right, cool. So with that said, we're gonna get down to the last indicator and symptoms of the fear of poverty. And of course that is number 6, procrastination. Of course, he put this one at the end, you know, procrastination. The habit of putting off until tomorrow matters that should have been done last year. Spending enough time in creating alibis and excuses to have done the job. This system is closely related to overcaution, doubt, and worry. Refusal to accept responsibility when it can be avoided. Willingness to compromise rather than put up a stiff fight. Compromising with difficulties instead of harnessing and using them as stepping stones to achievement. Bargaining with life for a penny instead of demanding prosperity, opulence, riches, contentment, and happiness, and planning what to do if and when overtaken by failure instead of burning all bridges and making retreat impossible. This manifested further by weakness of and often total lack of self-confidence, definiteness of purpose, self-control, initiative, enthusiasm, ambition, thrift, and sound reasoning ability, expecting poverty instead of demanding riches, and associating with those who accept poverty instead of seeking the company of those who demand and receive riches. Oh man, guys, if that didn't strike a chord with you, that's literally that paragraph summarizes why 99% of people fail in life. They fail in life because they expect failure. Remember, what the mind conceives and believes, it will achieve. So if you go and you enter a journey and you commit everything you have and you have no option to turn back, and you will seriously go bankrupt if you don't succeed exponentially. Everything's on the line. What do you think your mind's gonna do? It's gonna think of a plan and create a freaking way to make it work. Because if it doesn't, don't eat. You guys remember Jay Abraham's book, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got? Getting everything you can out of all you've got. Oh my God, that's a long title. This guy, he was a salesman originally. He was selling his skills and services. He worked on a 100% commission basis. What did that mean? He didn't sell, he didn't eat. He got damn good at selling really quickly. You know why? Because he couldn't expect failure. He had no bridges to turn back. The only way for him was up. The only thing he could do was take massive action. Overcaution, doubt, and worry, those symptoms would leave him hungry on the street if he did not accept responsibility for his life. He had a wife, 2 kids at age 20. He had no choice but to get everything he could out of all he had, which was no college degree, no experience in anything. And he had to just freaking man up and punch his way through life and embrace everything that came his way. What did that lead? It led into him being one of the most successful business consultants on the planet. Never compromised with difficulties. Always pushed through the edge. Always jumped over. Never bargained for a penny. And he always demanded prosperity, riches, happiness, and freedom, because he'd done all this work. He'd put in all this commitment, and he knew, look, if I've done this, I will create the value and take out this money from the marketplace, because he had this burning desire to succeed. And he had no choice. Poverty was not an option. Failure is not an option. He demanded riches from life, right? From life. Remember, if you demand something from the ether and you have total conviction and belief of it, and you follow the secret formula, and you have a specific desire, and you use sex transmutation, which Jay used in his very early years of his career to increase his emotional and internal thought vibrations, what you demand will turn into reality. And that's exactly what happened to him in his life. Everything stemmed from his ability to have a definite desire and demand riches in association of wealth over poverty. And as soon as his mind was filled with wealth and money consciousness and radically increased in stimulation through the power of sex transmutation, all of a sudden he got the money, he got the success, he got the growth, got every single thing he desired, because he got everything he could out of all he had. He didn't wait, he didn't sit on the sidelines, he didn't put it off until tomorrow. I'll tell you one more story, and then I think we're gonna finish up this module, because I think this captures this idea very, very, very well. This one guy I know, and you guys know, I just graduated high school, right? So you get very, very generous gifts from family for cash, and they'll mail it to you. And then after you get those very, very generous gifts, you get a box, you get an envelope, and you say, hey, look, I'll send you this thank you card, right? And so you write out a little thank you card, you give them a call, you say, hey, thanks, that was awesome, you're the freaking best. Because they just gave you money, that was super nice of them, right? Because remember, the world doesn't owe you anything. Nobody owes you anything. Diddly squat, zip, no one owes you. So for them to take time out of their day and really make a contribution in my future was very nice and very powerful. And the power of wealth, if you guys get money for graduating high school, invest that crap in assets and it'll be worth an insane amount of money. Look up a compound interest calculator, put in any interest rate, and look at 40 years of growth. It'll blow you away. 5 grand turns into $1 million bucks. You have the right return. That's the power. That's why it's so cool to have a minimum wage job, especially when you're in high school, because you can invest that, and if your college is paid for, you leave it in there for 40, 50 years. Dude, you're 66 and you've got millions of dollars from this little summer job that you worked, and you invested it in your future instead of blowing it on crap you don't need. So many people don't understand that, and they waste their money, they waste their lives away. They don't get that they could buy a freaking mansion if they just didn't waste that couple $1,000s on that new upgrade for their car that they really don't need. Very powerful concept. But hey, look, honestly, that's a subject for the general membership area. That's a subject for another day. The story I'm talking about today is I was writing these notes, and basically I graduated on Friday, I had a party on Saturday. It was awesome, super fun. Oh my God, freaking best time ever. And then on Sunday, I left for Georgia on Tuesday. So on Monday I was packing, Tuesday I was finishing the packing, and then I left. Then it was like a big drive. And so on Sunday, like I spent the first 4, 5, 6 hours of the day just getting every single thank you card written, customized, personalized, phone call sent out, every single thing, right? All of it done instantly. And then it was, you know, finalizing stuff. Honestly, I know I probably wrote down in my journal what I was doing. I think I was really, really big into online marketing at the time. So I was probably doing a lot of studying and courses, probably honestly going through that PWA program. So highly recommend you guys. I've talked about it so much. Check it out below. That program fundamentally changed my life with my online business and everything I do, even with Monero ads. Like I didn't know what the heck I was doing with marketing for that until I took this course and learned about some of those books that I've shared with you in the resources section by Russell Brunson. They're so powerful. Please check those out. Get their free copies. So amazing. So I did basically all the thank you cards, and that was, you know, months ago. And then, you know, right now I'm with this other guy, right? And he also just graduated high school. He's a little bit older. He's like 20, not as driven, right? Motivation, whatever you call it. But the problem with him is procrastination. So I'm working, you know, 16 hours a day doing this stuff for you guys because I care and I want to have an impact. Meanwhile, it's been like months and months and months, and I just went to the post office, put in his mail, and in that mail was his like 6 graduation thank you note. Months and months later, because he just procrastinated and didn't want to do it. Now, I had a question for you. Do you think somebody that takes months and months and months to write like 6 handwritten letters that are about 1/8 of a page long on a little note card, do you think they're gonna have massive action in their life? Do you think they're gonna 10x their life? Do you think they're gonna have massive success and reach their overarching long-term goals by following their plans for success? Guys, think about it. If you want massive success, but you don't align your actions with your overarching goals, are you really gonna get there? It's the same question I asked this guy when he took months and months and months to do these cards. I said, dude, you're just sitting on your phone on the couch looking at like social media. Like, look, social media is great. Keep on going. You know, pay Facebook dividends, Facebook ads, Instagram, you know, Snapchat, YouTube, whatever. Maybe there's a new one by the time you're watching this, and hopefully it's very profitable for advertising and investing. But you want to be a creator of it, not a consumer of it, right? So you want to produce. You don't want to spend 10 hours a day on your phone. So that's why it sucks to see him procrastinating for months and months and months to send out simple little letters. Simple little letters. Because that translates into the rest of his life. Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so because he wasn't able to accomplish this one task, he's done very, very minimal. Just basically, I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to diss on this guy because he's a really cool guy. I love him. Great friend. But just a total separation between success and failure because of this ability to either get shit done or procrastinate. For so many people, they procrastinate. That never makes it happen. Never let it happen. I'll tell you what, if I procrastinated on the book, I didn't get that stuff done by its deadline, there's not a chance I'd be where I am today. But you have to hold yourself accountable to even the smallest goal, even the shortest of desires. And if you can make yourself get that little chore done instantly and have total gratification and think that you're amazing because of it, that charisma, that growth, that characteristic is going to transfer over every other aspect of your life, your business, your wealth, your health, your relationship. It all stems from this internal ability to go out there, get it going, and absolutely destroy by following your plans and achieving your incremental steps that you've established through the one thing to get to that overarching long-term goal and fulfill your secret formula. That's the power, that's the growth, that's the mindset, that's how you escape poverty. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you got a ton of value from this. Go out there, apply this, crush it, have an amazing day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next module. Bye-bye.